All right, good to go. I think we're good to go, folks. And we are. With that, good afternoon, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Monday afternoon, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Great to see Andrea, John, Henry, all of which you had said I'm loud and clear. Good to see everybody. Great to know I'm good to go across the live trading room of ours. Great to know we're good to go back on social media, folks, Facebook Live or YouTube. I had a big StreamYard issue early this morning, and I thought I was doing the whole show in front of you folks. I finished up about 80% of it, and then I realized that there was a StreamYard, like some tech issue. I was like, oh my God. All right. So we got a full house now. All of us back on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, all of us back inside the live trading room. We are good to go. So for right now, folks, let's really just be efficient with time. We have the PYPD trade at least on the screen right now. I just wrote this a moment ago. Rich was mainly calling this out for us here heading into the early to mid-afternoon. Ended up making this really good run, probably the best trade across the whole day. Right? Anyone jump in on this PYPD trade from earlier? I know a few of us went in and out just momentarily for about 10, 12 cents a moment ago, but is anyone still holding on to this trade here? You know, the thing that piques my interest the most about this stock, and it's the thing that I just noticed, a moment ago, is that it's a gap fill. For as much as this thing got crushed back from early last week or even from the end of the week prior heading into Labor Day weekend, it looks like it ended up stumbling off a little bit more and then out of nowhere here heading into the early to mid-afternoon, ended up making this big squeeze up, big short squeeze, dead cat bounce, same meaning essentially. For as much as this ended up getting clipped back from a week ago or so, you're seeing shorts cover. And with that, it's making a run up. So, it's a dead cat bounce. It's a short squeeze. Don't pull your hair out trying to get the technical name for it. What we care about here is where the iceberg orders are. So right now, it's not even to say that at 2, you would find a big level, but just look up a little bit more right at 210, even 213, little guy up there. But, your main level, 210 as of right now for about 25 plus thousand shares. So we'll put this on our watch list just to begin the PYPD trade. I was kidding. Not actually, I wasn't really kidding, but I was making light of a joke with my own trader's dyslexia here between PYPD and PXMD here. I'm going to have a tough time trying to get them straight. The PXMD ended up making a nice move as well, ended up making a big pop mid-morning off of like 340-ish, 350, and just out of nowhere took off like a rocket. Ended up making the same type of move heading into the mid-afternoon right off of 440, 445. Perhaps you could say 450 there. Yeah, just about 450, just about lingering underneath there for a little while. And then suddenly heading into the mid-afternoon here, we ended up seeing a big pop. So this still has some life left to it. It's trading a lot of volume per minute, relatively cheap stock. It hasn't totally tanked, although it did briefly just break under this chart support roughly off of 485-ish, just loosely kind of putting that line there. Probably up a few cents more than that, but it was really holding that line pretty nicely. Well, it just most recently broke under it, but now it's trying to break back above it. So this is still in good standing here right now, PXMD. I'm going to put this on the side list, though. I'll definitely come back to this at the end. If it's still holding over this line here, then I'll put it on our main list. I just want to see what else we have across the gainers and losers here coming up. All right, so I'll show NRBO briefly. It's the stock below $1. I saw what it had looked like earlier. It's trying to squeeze back up temporarily here, but ended up doing most of its pop from the market open. And then just shortly going into 12 o'clock Eastern here, ended up making a break here again off of 53 cents, 54 cents, and ran up pretty nicely. But normally we're not as keen to follow the stocks below $1. They normally don't make as concise of a move or as good of a move. So with saying that, we'll come back to this at the end if we need to, but on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have VTYX, crazy stock. I think the only news out on this stock, if anything, was coming off of an upgrade. I mixed this up with another stock from earlier coming off of Phase 1 Pharma news, but I think the only news on this company is that Oppenheimer ended up giving a new price target on this trade from 40 to 65. So, in the morning meeting, I was telling you folks, just from a past experience, don't hold your breath waiting for that number. Don't hold your breath waiting for $65 on this stock. So it ended up making a little run earlier, topped off just over 40, 41.29, the high of the day. there's no need to put this stock at this point on our watch list here for the afternoon. If the spreads were better, maybe, but right now there's better and bigger fish in the sea to catch than this, I believe. All right, so we have PXMD on the main list, or see, I just messed it up. We have PYPD on the main list, PXMD here on the side list, and we'll kind of just keep going through. We'll definitely come back to PXMD at the end. Market pulling back a little bit after the pop from the market open there. So no surprise from the end of last week into this week. You can't keep expecting a perfect straight trend up or bounce, especially the more the markets go up in a shorter amount of time. You're going to see that eventual pullback. So you could see the SPY's been making a series of lower highs across the day, pulling back down briefly here a bit. The I&M stock, hey, this one we did really well on from earlier. It did take a while for this to, make its break and run. So from the open, this was a mess. It was choppy. It ended up pulling back a little bit more, but it ended up breaking back above big level off of 15. That was a huge level from pre-market, just the amount of volume traded off of 15 heading into the open. So ended up leading to a pop above 15 and just a straight run from that point. Made it really easy for us in that regard. But, hey, you don't know when the wheels are going to fall off on a trade like this, right? So looking at like the daily or weekly chart even, you can go back to the beginning of this year, beginning to mid of this year, March, April time, ended up bottoming out right around 1862. 1875, the close and the open, respectively. So generally, it did break above that, right? But what's the end result? Snapping right back down. It's got a big spread here and thin volume anyway. So this is the exact type of stock like the other one. You don't want to be on the receiving end of the drop here, right? You don't want to be on the other side of the roller coaster as it's coming right back down. So, with this one, we're going to pass on here. CLVS. Wow, nice little pop heading into like the early to mid afternoon. I wasn't really watching this then. Broke out from 135 to make a run up just about 20 cents, 20 plus cents. And right now it seems to be trying to make that squeak back over 150 here as we speak. I'll come back to this at the tail end. This and the other one, the PXMD. You got IDYA. It's at the high of the day right now. It's actually not really trading a whole lot of volume compared to what it normally does day to day. It's like just a little bit more than the average. Of course, it's at the highs right now, so that part's interesting. But again, I got to treat this day like Friday from last week, where we got to be picky and choosy here right now. We're coming off the summer, coming off of Labor Day weekend. It's not going to be an instant where the market starts, trading a ton more volume. It's like a trickle-down effect. CPI numbers out on Thursday, I believe, this week. Fed meeting, big Fed meeting on Wednesday next week. So probably going to see a little hesitant of a market, at least until next week, and we'll see what happens from that point. RGLS, hey, ended up making a nice run. So thankfully, this ended up being one of the trades that we ended up catching from the market open. It wasn't on the main morning watch list because after pre-market, it made that pop and drop. So you don't normally expect the run afterwards. Well, thankfully, it gave us the run. So we weren't late to this. We were on top of this one pretty nicely, especially as it re-broke back above 2. Right over here. It ended up breaking back above 2, broke down from it as support. So truth be told, when it breaks above 2 here right away, you would expect more of a false break. More of a false breakout here, more of resistance to hold. Well, when it pops that price unexpectedly, that's where you have to make that switch mentally to say, all right, wow, if it's really going to break that and run off it a little bit, then maybe it could be support on the pullback right here. So right over here where my cursor is, that's like the moment that you look for to try and see support get tested. From that point led to the next leg up on this trade. But now it's making the same type of drop off that it made from pre-market. So, at this stage right now, we'll pass on the RGLS, but, great trade from pre-market, great trade from the market open or shortly after. Trying to go through this with a fine-tooth comb right now. There's actually a bunch of different names that in one way or another over the last several months we've traded. Like IBRX, I remember trading 4 or 5 months ago at one point. It's at the highs right now. It's trading decent volume on the day. Let me flip my weekly back into a daily there, but definitely trading a lot of volume across the day. This IBRX, this one looks good. I like this one. Not really much of an iceberg, key resistance sitting on the ask here for right now, and that's all right. Right now it still needs to break high of the day here, and we'll see what happens next. But I'll bring up level 4 after we finish up this meeting, and we'll post that in the room for all of us, like Grant and Michael and Alex, etc. All right, we keep it going. We keep it moving. BBIG flat as can be. Bit of a dud there. Let's go over to my lovely, lovely Neo. Oh man, this thing was a monster today. And it's not to say that you hold this going into the market open. You really do not. You get out of your pre-market trade by like 9 o'clock, 9:15, the latest, and then you readjust. So after this popped when the market opened up, well, hey, it blasted above resistance off of 2050. It ended up moving close to 21 at the time. And at that point, much like we just said before on the I think it was the IBRX, where you end up seeing a big level unexpectedly get broken through. All right, well, the first time it comes down to it, it should be support. So right here, it broke under, back over, and thankfully it held after. I don't like seeing this hold and layover support as long as it even did. But if we're going to have a payoff like this, then I'll take it. You know what I mean? Now, that doesn't mean that I've been holding on to this trade all throughout the day. This is like my favorite stock personally for a lot of us inside the trading room. I know that you folks do pretty well on it. I ended up getting out on this trade as it was pushing up towards even 2080. I left a lot of money on the table here. I ended up getting back in on this trade as it broke back up here, and I ended up noting, I moved my line down from it, 2091, 2090 is a key volume-based level. So if we were led to believe that Neo was going to run higher, it had to not just break above this, but really push up towards 21 and higher. I still left a lot of money on the table on this trade. It was just getting flat. So I ended up getting out on the second trade right off of 2112, 2111. And from there, I stayed away. So this has been popping up without me since. And that's all right. But hey, for the afternoon, there could still be a lot left here on the table to take. So Neo, definitely I'll put on our main watch list right now. Take a look at a couple of the other Chinese EV companies. I know that XPEV had a big move from pre-market, but hey, this one's not looking nearly as good as the Neo. LI, not even. This one's actually down 2.2% compared to Friday. I mean, yeah, I don't know if it's Neo specific or what, but this is looking really good across the whole day, and we'll give it a little bit more love here across the afternoon. All right, what else we got? We definitely have a lot more on the gainers side here, folks. I know the markets have been making lower highs, topping off a bit here, but there's definitely a little bit more. We had the IMRA, if I'm not mistaken, from Friday last week and Thursday and Wednesday. But, right now it's just looking a little slow. It's trying to move back up towards the highs of last week already. So, if we end up seeing this make a pop after 3 o'clock, we'll likely call it out and follow it up from there. But maybe later on this week, I'm kind of imagining this can make its bigger pop and run should it break the high back from Thursday last week. All right, we got AVYA, familiar name, and that might just about wrap it up on the gainer side. There's, a little bit more that's up that 5% plus. So if there's anything else looking really good, folks, type it in the chat board early, type it in now, and I'll come back to it at the end. Dice number 8 on the losers list, down nearly 19%, dropping off nicely. This is a pretty sharp drop. My only gripe on this trade, you know where I'm going to here, it's like no real volume on the order book. So it's a nice drop right now. Could be a good short, but it's tiny volume. It's tiny money. We're not following the tiny money here at CTU. We're following the big money, right? If there's no big money to follow, probably find another stock. That's all right. Prax here, PRAX. It is shortable. It is a lot more liquid. And it actually just broke under the VWAP most recently here. So thinking out loud, this could potentially be a better short. But Still, I want to see if there's something that is even better, perhaps. MOS for a $52 stock, it's pretty liquid, but the whole day it's been in this tight range. We have TEL down over 7%. This is even slower than the other one. What was the other one? $3 stock. It was dropping off pretty nicely, but a little slow. So this one even worse. And that's expected for a Monday here, folks. I tell you, there's not a whole lot out there that looks, great. If there's anything that I completely missed, any oversights, let me know here in the chat board. That's how we work together as a team. Got one from me, then one from Andre and myself. I'm looking at ARQQ, just popped up on my Benzinga scanner here. Hey, just before this last little inch up, it wasn't doing anything. So I kind of overlooked this one, but right now it's trying to break back above the VWAP price. Just trading really thin volume, though, on the book. Trading 6.8 million shares on the total day. So I got to see more out of this trade right now. Could be interesting, but for right now, I'll pass. Andre asking about the ATHX stock. Hey, for more of an afternoon move, I did overlook this one. So good call, reminding me of the ATHX. It's still holding there, right? For right now, So maybe I slip this on the back end of our watch list here, the ATHX. It's got to break over that 10, 11,000 share order on the ask at 280. There's also a bigger one up top at 289. Then Andre also says Peloton. Yeah, Peloton's looking damn good. This looks really nice right now. I mean, that beautiful trend. I wish it was actually trading a lot more volume per minute compared to what it's actually trading. Because when you look at the order book here, it's got to take a lot more for it to cut through. The 14K at 96, 22K at 98, and etc. at 11. But really good call, Andre. I like this one, Peloton. Michael says path near the high of the day. And then Michael D says Peloton's been moving up the last few days as well. Path is moving up and is trading some good volume across the day and per minute right now. It's like right at the highs. It's getting pretty close to completing the gap fill here, isn't it? Bottomed out at 15.55, closed at 59. It's only a few cents away from that here. So I'll put this on our list as well. It looks great. It would be hard for me to not put this on our list. Just be a little mindful of the low/close back from last week here, because it could top off there today on the intraday chart, complete the gap. PXMD coming back to this one here at the end. It looks like it broke back under that line off of like 487-ish, 486-ish. And with that, big ass shakedown. I mean, really just shook right down to the VWAP. So, our last call on this would be to see if the VWAP holds its support right off of 465. I'm going to scratch this from putting this on our main list just yet, but if we end up seeing it pushing back up later on, I'm sure that Rich will call it out as he comes on the mic at 3 o'clock here. We got the CLVS trade, and this will likely do it here, folks. The CLVS trade, it's kind of just sluggish right now. It's holding over 150 briefly. It's closer to the highs than it is the lows, that's for sure. All right, I'll put this one on our main list, I guess. All right, so that wraps things up, folks. In total, we got 2, 4, 6, 7 stocks to work with. And then I think that just about does it there. I apologize again for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube. I was covering for Fausto this morning, tagging in for him as he is in Florida, not on vacation. It's actually pretty nice here coming off the weekend, though, so I'm probably enjoying the nice weather. But he's actually doing the DTI Tom Busby on-site class again, so I know that he's trading live down there with a bunch of Tom's students and Tom Busby and himself. So, aside from that, I know that he'll be back on Wednesday, I believe, at least for all of us on social media and inside the live trading room to do the meetings. But we had a little bit of an issue this morning with StreamYard, so I thought I was good to go across the whole meeting. Never got recorded. ended up fixing said issue. So we are good to go now, though, folks. So if you have any questions, feel more than free to send it over through email. josh@ctutrading.com is my email. I always like to post it at the end of these streams here. If you were interested in joining our live trading room, continuing the audio commentary that we have, again, I had said that Rich, one of our instructors, will be on the mic right at 3 p.m. Eastern, taking us into the close. Just go right down to the link on the yellow banner below if you're on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, that is, just on the stream right there to get yourself started. But for Grant, for Andre, Michael, Kathleen, Leda, Henry, Robert, John, Andrea, I look forward to chatting with you folks coming up a little bit. I'm going to jump onto a coaching call coming up at 3 o'clock myself with one of our students. I'll be chatting away, though, inside the trading room, though, at least here, folks. I'll talk to you all soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.